Hello. My plan of going live some time ago did not happen because of a Susie. So we are live now. Dog, don't mess with me. But hello. We're gonna have a little bit of story time things before we get started. Also, because of Susie, my perfectly well charged wireless mic was not perfectly well charged by the time I got back and ready to go live. So, it's fine, these things happen, but we're gonna leave it plugged in while we sit here and eat some popcorn. Hello, happy Friday. It is not as cold out today as it was yesterday. I was bamboozled by my dog once again. She's right here. As I was setting up, getting everything ready, was like, yes, we're gonna get ready to stream. And she started running around crying like she does, in such a way to be like, I need to go outside. So I was like, okay, clearly there's some sort of emergency. Even though I'm all set up and stuff, let's run outside. There was no emergency. She just decided she wanted to go outside. And she has conditioned me. Well, it's been a couple hours since I took her out. So I was like, maybe she did eventually do her some business, but it was not the emergency she implied with her whining. So hi, Tanya. Hi, Taru. Hey, Brian. I hope y'all are doing alright today. Oh. This was, the fish. This was the plushie I picked up at Pax Unplugged from Floral Frolic. The place where we got the, they're not here. They're on my other one. Over here. The wolf pins. Hold on. I know exactly where they are. This guy? You have the dark one, I think, and I have the light one. You were, I think, doing a panel when I came in with it. When I showed up with it, so is fishy. Yeah, it's definitely a better safe than sorry, but very much a dog. So we spent almost 30 minutes with me being like, are you gonna do something? So we're gonna sit and do a little bit of chat while A, I feed myself popcorn, and B, I let this be plugged in a little bit because the wire doesn't work quite as well over here. Yes, I feel that. It's been an interesting week because we had a new hire on a different part of the team who was in the office for the week. And so I had to, be a person. We did a team dinner welcoming her on Wednesday, and then I forgot that we scheduled to do magic last night. So I was like, oh crap, not streaming. Because that always runs long. So anyways, first off, hi everyone. Second, I completely and utterly lacked self-control because I definitely went out to a store today and bought a mini printer. So, we're, in addition to some other stuff, we're gonna open it up and test it out. Hopefully it's all gonna go well. I like the idea, the thing I was chatting with my family about it because my mother called, while I was out. Is I was like, I could buy one of the, little Polaroid instant camera, things. There's a bunch of them, you can get one for under $100. Fujifilm has a bunch of them. I'm, Polaroid and everybody else, too. But that's, only photos of things you see out and about. Whereas these are, you're printing something from your phone. So I can snap a photo with friends and, like, take this with me to cons and things, and, print that out, just like an instant camera. But I can also print other things. Pretty much anything that I can have on my phone. So we're gonna try it out and hope it goes well. Fingers crossed. What else? Well, it's happened since Monday a lot. I also should miss that one. Put in a small order on JetPens for a bunch of supplies so I can do a little more annotating of books since I'm going to be reading more of my physical books this year. Which I enjoy doing. So I don't remember if I said it last stream or a couple streams ago. But we fell into a black hole of looking at the sale that Barnes & Noble has right now. 50% off a bunch of their hardcovers. Which devolves into adding a bunch of books to my TBR, to my digital TBR. And because I have the library extension app, seeing a bunch of ones where I'm like, oh, that's at my library. So I put a hold on a bunch of books. I shouldn't say a bunch. Either 3 or 4. I don't remember if it was 3 or 4. But, middle of the week, 3 of them came in. So I went to the library. I was like, well, since I'm here, I remember that there were some I didn't put holds on, but I know we're at my local library. These 3 were came from one of the other libraries in my system. And of course I found several more. So, I picked up 6 books from the library. That I'm going to be working my way through over the next 3-ish weeks. In between chugging away at more Diablo, because I still have levels to do in the season. These are all books that were on my digital TBR. So, I already started reading On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. This was published in 2017, so it actually accounts for everything we saw in the US across 2015, 2016 into the unfortunately, first Donald Trump presidency. So there's a lot of relevance, not just like historically, talking about historical movements and things of that nature, but also in consideration of where we're at right now. So it's short, it's like 125 pages. I think I'm already 30 pages in. So I'll probably finish this, if not tonight, tomorrow. Hey, Furwick, good time zone. I hope you have coffee. Next up on my list is Surviving Autocracy by Masa Jinsen. There's going to be a weird mix of books here, I should warn you all. Third is, never seen this one before, In Defense of Witches, which talks about the legacy of witch hunts and also why women are still largely on trial, by Mona Collette. This popped up in one of my feeds and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. This one is really intriguing, especially after COVID. Pathogenesis, which tells a history of the world via 8 plagues. So it's talking about history told by kind of like major kind of sickness related events, which I'm kind of intrigued by. Next up, one coffee consumed, just brewed a cup of tea. Nice. Hello, Melissa. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Book 5 is Plunder, which is a book talking about private equity and how that's problematic. especially here in the US, I think really relevant considering how many businesses have filed bankruptcy or been shut down as a result of being acquired by private equity firms. The most recent of which was Party City, like 3 weeks ago, announcing bankruptcy and everybody being shut down that day. So super intriguing to read that one. And then last of my list is, this one's very chunky, The Earth Transformed. So, kind of a history of the Earth, or history as it relates to telling history through nature. Also, ads are about to start, so fair warning, everyone. So, history told via nature, rather than kind of people. So, yes, Taro, I will let you know. I'm gonna be swapping back and forth between, like, doing chores, because I need to do laundry and things of that nature. And probably playing games. And reading. So look at me, starting my year off right, going to a library, so I can start reading books. I kind of anticipate that some of these will be ones that I read and then purchase, so, like, I kind of, considering I'm putting, markers in for now, tabs and other things, like in this case, sticky notes with something more concrete I want to put on. It's not my copy. Probably end up actually buying a copy of it. But to start with, I'll read it from the library. And then I did go to Barnes & Noble, y'all. And I sort of had self-control. The only thing I only bought one book. I bought Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy 2024, which, if you all do not know, Space Valkyries has a story in here. So I was buying it in support of my friend. And the other 3 books that I wanted, they didn't have in my local store, which I did not realize. So yeah, I have to say, okay, I'm trying to have some self-control, which is why I got 6 books from the library and only bought 1 book. And in fairness to the other books I wanted to buy, one of them was the one volume of One Punch Man that I'm currently behind on. So, like, that's something I'm going to buy anyways, and I have the next 2 volumes marked so that I can pre-order them. And the other, one of them was The Sum of Us, which I think I talked about last stream, which is a book that I want to have because I know I'm going to annotate it and reference it in the future. And I don't remember what the last one was, but if I don't remember, it's probably not important enough for me to buy it, so. Or I think they didn't have it, and then when I looked, my library does have it. So I pulled it off of my to-buy list. I think I picked it because for some reason I thought the library didn't have it. Also, 2 other weird things with the library. First, there were a ton of people there. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. I had a break between meetings, so I was like, let me run out and pick up the books I have holds for. And I was like, oh, I have enough time to, like, look for a couple more. A ton of people there, some kids, probably after school. Grabbed 1 book. I was going down one of the other aisles to grab the second one. I was, like, looking for the number. And random dude comes up and is like, oh, what are you looking for? Do you need help looking for anything? And I'm looking at the dude being like, nope, I got my list. I know what I'm looking for. As far as I can tell, isn't a library worker. Little concerned. I was dressed more business casual that day. I had a pencil skirt on. I was wearing, like, my cute little kitten heels, things of that nature. It's like, there's so many people here. And when I walk down an aisle of books by myself, this dude decides to come over and start talking to me now. Like, my dude, no. So he's like, oh, what are you looking for? Like, I grabbed the book. showed it to him. I was like, oh, it's about, you know, history from a nature standpoint. And I was like, but I know what I'm looking, or look, I have another book to grab, and I kind of went on my way, which was like, have a nice day. But I was like, my dude, this is not the place to decide to bother someone. If I didn't say it before, welcome in DC. Hello, I hope you're doing well. You have a copy of the best sci-fi of 24? Yeah. It was just a little, like, it was kind of that awkward moment where he was clearly not, like, after the first question, he was clearly not somebody working at the library. And there were two librarians at the reference desk that I had seen as I was walking by, and a ton of other people there. Just at that moment, I was down one of the aisles of books where nobody else was in sight. And I'm just like, you're clearly not a librarian. You're clearly not a volunteer who works here. Based on the way he both approached me and, like, the types of questions he was asking, or he started asking me. And then, two, just, like, not the time and place. Like, I had a book in my hand, I was looking for a specific number. It was just one of those where it's like, I was polite enough. It was just a little weird, where I was like, why? All these people here, most of the people I passed who were in there, which, like, this is not meant as any type of judgment, but, like, using the computers, sitting and chatting and things like that, had a couple books out, were primarily men, and I'm like, it's a little weird that you chose to follow, like, you weren't over here that I saw. It wasn't like he was going up and down, like, aisles, and he just happened to be on the same aisle of books as me. Like, he just kind of appeared after I went down that aisle. So yeah, just a little weird, and it's like, not sure what you were going for, but that's not the way. Like, if you want to ask for a book recommendation, okay, but, like, I got stuff to do. But it was just a little iffy. And I'm like, I got a beanie on, I got my big puffy jacket on because it's freaking freezing cold, but I am in, like, tights and little, like, kitten heels and a pencil skirt, but still, like, my dude. It was just a weird vibe. And I was like, I'm just here to get my books and go back. I have a meeting at 4 o'clock that I want to be home in time for. Not that I was saying this to the dude, but I was, like, thinking it. I was like, not sure what you were going for. Maybe was just trying to chat, but it just felt a little eh. So I was kind of like, got my books, the 3 additional I was grabbing, went down to the checkout desk to get my holds and get checked out. And then the only thing that was a little weird, or not weird, but then I was like a little unsure because I was asking to check out, or I was checking out, and I was asking them, I was like, hey, I've been having some trouble with, like, our library system app. It's like, you might not know the answer, which I totally get. You're just like, I wasn't sure if there was somebody here I could talk to, or if I should, like, use the website to, like, put in a help request or something. So she took a look, we chatted through, and then she's like, oh, go ask one of the reference librarians upstairs. They'll probably be able to help you more. And as I'm sitting here talking to her, the dude comes back. So, context for us, the first floor of our library, of my local library, is primarily, like, study rooms and kind of like the teen center where they kind of host events. And the bulk of the actual, like, library where the books are stored, where you're going to go up and, like, search, and where some additional computers and stuff are, on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So you have to go up a set of stairs to get to the primary book section of the library. So while I'm talking with, checking out and talking with this lady, dude comes downstairs from the library section. It's like a hallway you come through to get to the exit, or to the checkout and the exit. And then it's just, like, hanging out by the door, and I'm like, this is also making me mildly uncomfortable. Because I'm like, he doesn't have any books in his hand, he's come down to the exit, right after I've come down to check out my books. But, because they were like, oh, go back up and talk to reference librarians, I was like, cool, I'll go up to reference and talk to librarians. So I'm, like, carrying these 6 books I've just checked out back up to go talk to the librarians. And, to ask them about the app. And it was a weird thing. So basically But then the process, at one point, like, they were like, oh, let us look something up, like, let's check status of something. And I happened to just, like, look around, and it's kind of like a central place. You can see the bulk of the, I guess, the entrance to the different wings where different books are. Like, they've split the sections by wing. So, like, this section's in this wing, this section's in that wing, like, by topic, I guess I should say. And the dude's back, but he's, like, on the computer, and I'm just like, ooh. The computer where you, like, search, they have it set up to search the catalog so you can go find books. I'm like, alright, cool. Still iffy, but I'm chatting. So, the net of it is, for some reason, we can't figure out why this wasn't better communicated, but I had an old version of the app. But as far as we can tell, it wasn't pushed as an update because I can't find an update. Like, I can't, like, go into the Google Play Store and find an update to the newer version. I think they, like, delisted the old version and then put out a new app. But I got no notification, so the reason why my app wasn't working, wasn't connected to the catalog, was because I'm guessing it was just an old, delisted version that wasn't actually connected to the catalog anymore. So, because she's like, well, I was like, well, I have one that says it's, like, our library system, like, the title is correct. But my icon isn't quite the same as yours, and when she loads it up, I'm like, that's not what mine looks like. So I was like, let me uninstall it, let's look in the store, let's reinstall. In the process of all of that, we realized that there was an entirely new version that I couldn't up to it. I had to uninstall and then go back into the store and install a new one. And we got it figured out, so we're good now. But, yeah, dude was not passing the vibe check. It was certainly one of those instances where you're conscious of the person, and I didn't like it, but I wasn't at a level of uncomfortable that I felt the need to, like, voice it to somebody. Admittedly, if I hadn't been going upstairs to the reference desk and the dude was still hanging out around the exit when I was, like, getting my books checked out, I probably would have said something to that librarian. But he kind of disappeared in all of that. And when I was actually leaving, I didn't see him again. Like, if he had legit been, like, hanging out outside the door when I came back out, I probably would have stopped and been like, I'm uncomfortable with this. And talked to somebody. But he kind of disappeared. Didn't see him again, but I was paying attention when I was walking back out to my car. The positive here is it was still light out. Weekday. And the library is directly across from a YMCA, so there's a lot of traffic of people going in and out and stuff. So at least at that time of day, I wasn't like... But, like, the whole time I was like, this is weird, but I got 6 books. And I had enough self-control to only buy one. I almost said 3. One at Barnes & Noble. That's not to say I'm not going to go try and check one of the other ones for the 2 books that I'm missing. The next volume of One Punch Man and what have you, but yeah. Hopefully we don't need to shank anybody, but it was definitely a moment of like, dude, you being shady. You get you being shady, right? It was like the dude who passed me in his car while I was out running like a week ago. And then I saw his car go by again. And then again. And I'm like, I know I'm out on a run. But I'm still paying attention to the fact that the same car has driven past me 3 times. So anyways, people are weird, and they need to stop being weird. Is what I will say. Why are my ads starting again so quickly? That's so weird. But also. So anyways. So, the net of this is, of course, apparently there's a lot of weirdos, which we already knew. But it definitely was like, why are you all being like this? I do carry pepper spray with me when I run. I have my keys, which always also can potentially double as a weapon and things of that nature. But it's just like, just don't be weird, people. Just don't be weird. Like, it's not that hard. And understand that, like, we notice you being weird. That's the other thing. But anyways, so I have a bunch of books. My goal is to chip through. I'm probably going to try and binge read as many of these as I can over the next 2 weeks since I'm going to be traveling. Though I guess I could take library. Susie, why are you being like this? We're out of popcorn. Popcorn is done. There's no more. But yeah. Alright, so we're gonna swap over. My current plan. The dress you got, yay, it fits, but it's sleeveless. Pair it with a cute jacket, I guess? But the Lich jacket fits. Fantastic. I'm glad. So we're gonna swap over. We're gonna open up this little Canon mini printer, and hopefully we're gonna test it out. Fingers crossed. And see how it works. Cypher does have a cape. Cypher has like a really solid cape. I don't know if the color combo, I don't remember the color of the dress, Cypher, but... Alright, so let's swap over. Crafting. Can you all hear that? It stopped. But if you're hearing like a light thumping, that was Susie's tail on the wall. Oh, you know what, y'all? I left my phone in the other room, and I need it for chat to make sure that I have visual for it while we do the things. But I hope everybody had an alright week. We had some snow flurries. Might get snow again tomorrow. It is a heavy brocade cape. Well, I wore it. Where did I wear it? New York in April? Alright, we're gonna move a lot of things out of the way. Alright, let's go put the books back to where I intended to start. Susie, look, I don't know what you want from me, dog. Oh, the other thing I will share with you. Oh, hold on. I lied. We're not getting started quite yet. We're not getting started quite yet. Ooh, velvet. Alright, hold on. I lied to you. We're going back to just chatting. Because I'm going to share with you I put some of these. I'm sorry, I should also apologize, Cypher, that I put I've turned your Get Organized channel on Discord into like organization and also things for reading journals, which is less about organization. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I bought from JetPens that I'll be using mostly for like annotating books, but could also be used in some cases for in my planner. So a bunch of these are like translucent, like sticky notes or tabs and things like that, so you can like pull them out, put them in a book. The one thing I'm not sure I'm really comfortable with is like physically actually writing in a book. So I'm buying a lot of things that I can like use for highlighting or to put onto a page and then mark over. I also saw this, which is like if you're not comfortable putting, which you can use anything, but I think these are cute. If you're not comfortable putting, writing or like using sticky notes, this is a way that you can like put little, basically a sticky tab to use like a note card or something on the side. And then finally, this one's fun because these are also translucent, but they're like little, it looks like a little paint palette. So basically I lack control and I bought a bunch of stuff that I can use for all of these things. So yeah, it is organizing my reading. Yeah, I don't know. You know what it is? After you were talking about turning off ad cipher, I was like, oh, let me go mess with my stuff. So I was turning off a whole, or messing with a lot of my settings. And I thought I turned it back on to the same settings I had before, but I don't know if that's actually the case. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. No, I did this. I didn't realize. I forgot to set it back. Let it run, and I think I've just reset it to what it needs to be. I think what happened is when I was messing with, I mean, still go take a look and see if you can. I think what happened, I just went and looked, was because I was messing with everything. It's like, oh, if you go up and run like 5 minutes per hour or something, like 5 minutes in a stream, then, you like potentially get a more significant revenue increase. And I think I was like screwing with it because I wanted to see how it looked. And I think I left it accidentally at 5 minutes. Like I wanted to see how it added into the calendar, like what it looked like across the hour. And I just think I never set it back. So that's why there was so much. So I've turned it back down. Should reset after the ads run this time in about 2 minutes. We should have a break for a good like 15-20. So that one's on me. But Cypher, absolutely, since your editor, if you get a chance and you can test that out, I'd love to know if you're able to see the ad setup. Right? They're great stickers. There's a whole bunch of different ones you can find. So I was looking up like transparent, translucent, like sticky notes and other things that can work. If you don't follow Stationary Nerds for a second, if you don't follow the JetPins YouTube channel, like some of them are very comedic, but they also like show off a bunch. Especially you can look up like annotating books, and they have a bunch of options in like their shorts where they show off some of these products and things. It's very dangerous as a stationary nerd to follow because I see like, oh, new video from JetPins. Let me go watch it. Oh, I should buy all of this. Danger. Springleaf isn't here to send me the gift that says you in danger. So I think it turned it back down to like 3 minutes per hour. So that was on me screwing around with my ad settings. That would run really often. But yeah, there you go, DC and friends. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to what we were actually doing before I got distracted and was like, oh crap, I want to share this. I meant to share it with you all and I forgot to bring it up before. Was all of those. So, I'm also gonna tell on myself a little bit. And we'll do some updating to the reading journal. I actually have already completed technically 4 books this year. And none of them were for my TBR. Surprise! Because they were a bunch of Kindle Unlimited books that I had forgotten I had already downloaded to my Kindle, and was like, well, they're here, so I might as well read them in between like reading starting the physical books that I was starting. And they're all romance novels, or romance books, so just like, you know, oh my god, this is tiny. Alright, so let's take a look. It is like 5.5 by like 4 1/4. So this is a little, oh, I forgot. It is slightly annoying to me that the camera resets, so I have it like zoomed in and things of that nature, and then it resets itself. So, all right, let's look at the so little teeny tiny, and then you have, this is a sticky back photo paper. I don't know that this one's sticky back, so this might just be regular. I might have to get some like double-sided tape. So, and like the shortest cable ever. Welcome in, pirate. Summoned by mini printing regardless of the actual definition. So, all right. There is a Canon app. Awesome. So Canon mini print app. I'm going to assume that I don't know if it's going to have any battery. Okay, well, there's like a warnings and all of that stuff, but nothing about, like charge your printer. Okay, well, I'm not going to use this cable, but I have my other one over here. Next. It's being so polite to me. It's like, Bluetooth is on. Great job. It's necessary to connect to your printer. Okay. And then they said turn it on. I did. All right, I have a little mini printer. It showed up perfectly on Bluetooth, so we're connecting. I'm going to pair it. It is connected. All right, I just slide and lift, and then I can put right, so we are going to shows me how to load it. Oh, other way. Done. Thinking. It does give me, so I don't know how easily you all can see it, but it gives me a little battery up in the top right, so it's at 77%. So photo album, collage, layout, label, pre-cut sticker. So you can buy ones where it's like stickers and circles, so you can like swap, I guess what like paper you have. You all can kind of see it's spitting out probably the not test print, but like the one that was in there. So, can apps with modern pirate, right? All right, so that's just showing hopefully that it is correct. So I'll make an account later. We're gonna do a photo of Susie. All right, so I have options here. I can adjust the brightness, contrast, saturation, and color balance. I can add a frame if I want to, so like a border or something. I'm not going to do that in this case. I can add some text, so if I wanted to type, and there are different fonts available. Stickers, if I wanted to add something onto that. Actually love this one. We're gonna rotate it. Sorry, it's sideways because I done. You can rotate, filters, draw, but I think that's good. I'm just going to hit print, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if this pack of 20 that I bought are also stickers, so we're going to start with one of Susie because I will put it into my planner. There's a print queue and a print history. Probably if I log in and make an account, I can keep better track of stuff, and I'm sure there's components of the app where it's like, oh, pay to get like different fonts or something. It's actually showing it, printing off of it on the app as well as in the... And I got a little checkpoint. My print queue is all done. All images have been printed successfully. And then we have a little photo of a Susie. If we go and look at... So I'm going to kind of show you all. So it's not quite as true to color, not as bright. I might be able to make some adjustments, obviously, to get as vibrant a color as what's, you know, on my phone screen. But it kind of does remind me a little bit of like how Polaroids, especially in like the 90s, would be just like a teeny bit washed out. Like I wouldn't necessarily expect it to be 1:1. But there you go. It took like, what, 30 seconds? A little bit longer for me to like pick everything out. Now, theoretically, this is a sticker back. So for fun, go into our planner for today. A planner that's not going to be cooperative, and there you go. Sticker back. We are going to throw it into our planner for today. And there you go. So I got a fast, quick print of a photo directly off my phone that I could add some stuff to. So in this case, I added a heart because it's Susie and I love her, even when she's being a pain in my butt. Sticky back. And I regret nothing about this purchase. So real quick, so this is, I'll share with you all, the Canon Ivy2, so like second generation mini printer, with the printer itself, the cable, and a 10-pack of photo stickers that came in it. I got this for $79.99. And then I picked up another 20 sheets. I don't know if these are also sticker back. It doesn't specify on it, so they might just be regular photos. This was about another $11 or $12. So altogether, I think I paid, Or not I think. I know even with taxes, I paid under $100 for this whole thing. So I regret nothing about this purchase. Is what I will say right now. So what we're actually going to do, now that we've done that, so I was reading that so there's the Canon Ivy, the other kind of like similarly shaped, the other similarly shaped and similarly priced one is the HP Sprocket. So they're around, some of them come in different colors. You could get this in like a little like pink / blush, what have you. I didn't care. They had white there. It was $80. It's like $80 to $100, depends on if there's like a promo or something running. Obviously you saw that there's an app. I'm sure that there's components of the app that cost things. So yeah, I don't regret this at all. And then I don't know how easily you all can see it on the box. So there's the sticker sheets themselves, and then you can buy ones, as I was mentioning, that are like pre-cut for like circle stickers and stuff if you want more than just this rectangle. This is a 2x3 inch. What are you crying about, Susie? I should have checked it before I took it off of, peeled the back and everything, but we'll bust out our ruler for a second. So this is a 2x3 inches. So yeah, look at that, y'all. I don't regret this. Yet. So I still have not completed a couple things in, I don't know why I put that there. This needs to go someplace else. I still haven't the thing I have yet to complete here is, my series tracker. Yeah, Susie's clearly had never had attention ever. So, what we're gonna do first is I need to check on my Kindle. What did I finish reading? More insights. This is L. So, as mentioned, I lack self-control. How many pages is this? Or I meant to go to Storygraph, because Storygraph gives me the pages. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to make use of my shiny new printer to print out the book covers for the stuff that I have finished, and I'll kind of format them. To do here, I've kind of written little notes for myself because I wasn't sure how long this would take. Again, don't judge me. I forgot that I had these. Some of these. Well, the first book of the year was actually me rereading a book on my Kindle that I had previously read and I'd forgotten to uninstall, and it was from, or like, Return to Kindle Limited, and it was from like a few weeks ago. So I was like, I was like, which book was this again? And then I like restarted it being like, do I remember what I read? Clearly I didn't, because I ended up rereading the whole thing, but I knew it was a reread because when I went to check, I was like, yes, this is showing. And then I have 3 additional romance novels in addition to that I read. which is very funny, where I'm like, I'm gonna get to my TBR, and then I do that. And then I checked out 6 books from the library. So, like, the physical TBR I thought I was gonna get to, I'm still going to eventually get to, but I feel better that at least the 6 books from the library are books that were on my digital TBR. So, judge me / don't judge me, please. So what I'm going to actually go do is I'm going to go download the covers for these books. And they are about as, like, cliche romance novel as you can get. So, like, I'm not afraid. But also, nobody looked them up. If you happen to see enough detail here to read them. Or to read what they are. Alright. Because I can do it as a collage, I don't even have to have the full 2x3. I can just put 2 per. We're gonna figure out if I can figure out. We are going to figure out if I can figure out collages. Was it? Go find my reread a second. Yeah. But anyways, anybody have any fun plans for the weekend? Alright. Back into our mini print app. Whoops. Rotate. Oh, it's not going to perfectly fit, but that's fine. Doesn't have to be, like, the perfect. So, alright. There we go. Running a D&D home games round? Nice! Oh, they want me to power that. It turned itself off while we were sitting here. I didn't realize it just fell asleep while we were sitting. I was like, oh, it's still plugged in, so it should be fine. Nope. I should do a timer to see how long it takes to do all of this. I don't have too much scheduled for this weekend. I do for next weekend, and then I'm traveling, I think, the week after. So my current plan is that this weekend's going to be chores. I'm going to be... So chores, reading a bunch, Diablo 4. I've done a decent job of keeping up with my planner this week. I'm still getting a feel for how I want to use the weekly planner. I have been filling it in. Just still trying to think about how I want to make use of the negative space and things of that nature. I actually saw somebody, it's very funny, after I'd already set everything up on the weekly planner, or on the Hobonichi weeks. It was very funny because I saw somebody who buys this and uses this as their book journal, as their reading journal. And it was like a wild setup. I was like, I respect this, even as I'm going, you're even as I was looking at what they did and was like, that's kind of wild. Alright. You rotate. Alright. We're gonna put that one. Oh! So yeah, if we take a second, we can set this right here, and you can see that it is basically 2x3. So this is using zinc paper, so no toner, no printer. Which I find very nice. Since you're in the book journal, oh yes! I will absolutely take second and third books of the Broken Earth trilogy, please. And I would also take a copy of The City We Became. That's also on my to-read list. I am absolutely going... I will take you up on all of those books. Right. Yes. This will be the first time I've read The Broken Earth. I've had N.K. Jemisin books on my to-read list for so long, and I bought the first, which is goes to physical TBR page. The 5th season. I've had it for a while, and it's just, I'm very behind on reading my physical books. I think, I tried to read, I think really what happened is I kind of fell down into, trying to read some books that were a little bit too academic, like too many in back to back, to where it was like, oh, these are like dense reads, they're slow going, I have to look stuff up, I want to take a lot of notes. And so as a result, I sort of ended up, I'm trying to bring chat back up. There we go. I think it was like challenging, and so challenging for me from that perspective, and so I ended up, kind of like falling off reading some of my physical books because so many of the ones I was trying to chip away at were that. And then I was like, well, let me use my Kindle Unlimited to give myself some like easy reads, which devolved into primarily romance novels. Which is not a problem. But I think it was so easy to like read one on my Kindle, and then as soon as I finished it, I returned it to Kindle Unlimited, and I can easily get the next one. And it just kind of kept going and going, and especially for things like romance novels, my like tolerance level for not as good writing is much higher than other things. And I think it just kind of like threw me off from reading my physical books. So now I'm like, all right, now we're going to get back into this. Because I'm trying to think about how do I want to format this. Alright, I think I've printed all I'm going to print for now, so we're going to turn this off. It's plugged in, so it's fine. Said it was at like 98%. I think it charges really fast, so that's nice. The RPG should be out at some point this year. See, I think I backed the RPG and then told myself that I was gonna like read all of the books before it came out, and clearly I've done none of that. Okay. Yeah, I figure I'm gonna leave, like, it's a short enough trip that I can pack probably a relatively small bag and have enough space to bring stuff back. I'm not too concerned. Alright, so I think we're gonna like put the sticker with the book. So I don't have to like write the we'll do like date read. They'll be in order, but I'm like, what info do I want to put here? I kind of want to look up, actually. There's still time. There is still time. I just need to stop taking out library books is probably what I need to do. Alright, let's go to Pinterest, y'all. And look up reading journal spreads. I'm blanking on how I've seen people do this, so now I gotta look. Oh, I like that. So, like, the book, we can draw stars. I actually think I have... Oh, hold on. I foolishly, and please don't judge me too much for this, I foolishly bought, like, a super cheap set of, these little stencils off of Amazon, and I should have just splurged for a nicer, here we go, this is what we want, for like a smaller set but nicer quality, because they're kind of iffy. So we'll do our star rating underneath it. So star rating, so star rating, date read. What else do I want here? I don't want to do a full page spread. Maybe genre. Maybe I'll write. Some of these will be obvious. Like, some of, like, the romance novel covers, generally obvious. But we'll write genre. And then probably, I've just lost, I've made such a mess out of this desk. Y'all, don't judge me too much. But yeah, so I don't have a lot this weekend, so I'm actually I think we're gonna say kind of where / how. So this will be, I kind of like how this, actually, y'all, you know what I can do? Hold on. Gotta do a little digging. Oh my god. Oh my god. What are all these things here? So many things. Okay. Don't ask me why I keep note cards. You don't need to know. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to draft a template that I can reference later. So we will have cover art. We will do our, this will be a little large, but we'll do our stars so I can rate it. Again, the flimsiest of things. We want date red. When I do date red, I'm usually going to do the completed date. Genre. Keeping in mind, too, that some of the info I might be interested in including, I have in other places. So, like, I'm tracking in sort of the books read, I'm tracking the pages, so I don't know that I necessarily need to put them here. And then I'll probably say, like, either actually, I won't even put the format, physical ebook or audiobook, because I'm tracking that elsewhere, but I will put either library owned, borrowed, or Kindle Unlimited, because I think that'll probably be the way in which I do this most of the time. Alright, I do like that. So I'll kind of put, like, that info somewhere. I like that as a format. Some of these are way more detailed than I would ever do. It's like the date you start and the date you finish. Sometimes I don't know. If it's a series, the setting, that's way more effort than I want to put in. Then I'm probably going to include any quotes and kind of my thoughts. I don't even know if I would call it like a fully blown out review, but I'll give you all an example for the couple that are already finished, because I didn't have this set up yet. I hadn't. You all can kind of see, so I'm going to give myself a little template that I can keep and then adjust if I need to. But so I wasn't, since I hadn't set this up for a couple of the ones that I had read, I hadn't put anything in. So I was like, okay, what do I think my start rating is going to be? And then what are my comments? So like for one, I was like, all right, I finished it and there were parts I liked. I definitely felt like there were, like, the wrapping up of some of the plots was a little too quick, too easily resolved, versus what I thought, like, the difficulty of that plot point was. And I probably would not read more in this series, versus, like, another one where I'm like, you know what, I like this overall. There were parts of the story that, like, didn't work for me. Reminder, these were all romance novels. I think one of the things that's really interesting, we're gonna talk a little bit here. It's after dark. It's fine. One of the things that I find really interesting about romance, or like not interesting, but are too bright in here. I'm sorry, y'all. It's interesting for me is, if you all don't know, I identify as ace. I think of it in the context of being sort of on kind of a spectrum of asexuality, in the sense of, like, you can be anywhere from, like, I abhor kind of sexual intimacy to, like, there's some things that work for me and some things that don't. Broad me, not me specifically here, but like, it can be anything from like just a light disregard. You might be closer to being, correct me if I'm wrong, I always get the definition a little off, but like, being demisexual is like you need the emotional connection to then kind of build, I guess, like physical attraction. But so, as somebody who is ace, I enjoy the romance of romance novels. And I have read some spicy romance novels. But like, I definitely tend to bounce off of ones that are like instant lust. Because I just can't connect with that. Like, I tend to find people, like, I guess, like, objectively, they're aesthetically pleasing. Like, aesthetically pleasing in the context, I'd be like, that's a beautiful woman. Or that's a really handsome man. But, like, so the point of all of this, it's really interesting because I do enjoy reading romance novels, but I definitely can bounce off of them if it's more centered on, like, lust. But that's not to say that I don't read ones that aren't spicy, because there are some, but it's like, this is not funny. It's like, I'm trying to get past the sexy scenes to get to the rest of the book in a lot of instances. So, like, for this other one, it's like, okay, you know, the sexy scenes, the spicy scenes weren't necessarily for me, but I did feel that, like, the way they were introduced, the context of, like, the attraction made sense versus, like, instant lust books don't make sense to me. And I tend to find them not enjoyable to read. And so, like, at the end of it, I was like, yeah, you know what? At the end of this was a really well-written book, and I will probably buy the next one when it comes out. Even if it, like, fits into a sort of category of romance that I haven't read as much of and had some spicier scenes than what I'm personally interested in, if that makes sense. So anyways, so all of that said is, like, it's not really a full review so much of it's like, what did I like? What did I not like? You know, would I buy anything else from this author or anything further in the series if it's a series? So it's more like general thoughts than they are reviews. That's kind of what I think I'm probably going to be really writing into these. So, I got it right. Okay, yeah. Feelings first. Then physical. Got it. Yeah, so like a deep, you need the deep emotional connection before, that makes sense. Okay, I got it right. So anyways, I like this format of this one because it's literally like, what was a quote? What did I like? What did I not like? Would I recommend it? And overall thoughts. I don't really want to do full page spreads here. They do print out the book. It's too, you all can't see the way the screen is. There we go. Print out the book. But I think I'm going to use as much space as I need. I think so some might be longer, especially if there's a lot of quotes. And especially as I think to, like, any nonfiction I might read, I don't tend to pull quotes as much from fiction or from, like, romance novels as an example. Yeah, these are people doing, like, full page spreads for their book reviews. That's not really what I'm looking for. As context, I did half pages last year, so I was, like, doing half a page, but, like, I was writing down all the info, like title and other things that would come from, that I can partially manage by just putting the cover here. Also, I saw something where somebody had a sticker that was essentially, what was the sticker? Burn my Kindle when I die. Like, yeah, I don't want anybody to look at my, like, borrow history from Kindle Unlimited. It's just a lot of romance novels of varying levels of spiciness. Alright, well, let's start with this. Let's try one and see. The first one is going to be my reread, which is what I kind of kicked the year off with. I finished it, I think, on the 1st. Where are you? I also like, I mean, I don't mind, romance novels that are series, but I tend to like the kind of like interconnected standalone books more than like actual direct series where I'm like, well, what if I don't want to read, yeah. Like, sometimes, especially for romance novels, I don't want to have to read the previous one to read one. I'm like, I just want each standalone to be a romance. If it references characters and stuff, then, like, that's fine. But also, no. Alright, so what did I just say I was going to write here? That's too small. Alright, you know what we can do? So what do we say? Go to my reread. It was the 1st. If you know the book or you look it up, don't judge me. This is definitely a dark romance. Your book collection is totally safe. No one will ever get access to my AO3 reading history, so also very dangerous. Hold on a second. I'm gonna double up. Romance. This is a LGBTQ. There's like an academic element, but it's really background, so I'm not gonna include. This is not like really a. And then this is this was a Kindle Unlimited. Y'all. Like, where did I put my really... I'm like, I thought about it earlier. I was like, I might be embarrassed if I do this and then y'all see any of this. And I'm like, meh, at this point, what do I have to be embarrassed about? Let's be real. There are so many other things I could, that are way more embarrassing. I kind of wish these were smaller. Do I have smaller? Do I have smaller options? Size. I want stars, but I want smaller stars. I think I'm gonna probably be out of luck, though. Oh no, there are smaller stars. Yeah! These are tiny. For those of you that are have any reading goals for the year, how are you doing against those? We are 10 days in. I feel like I need to buy a stamp. That's stars. Or a star. I did enjoy this book. It's gonna be 4 stars. Obviously, I reread it. I'm almost tempted to buy this one physical. I like is it the gilded edges? Is that the phrase when they like paint the edges of the book, like the special editions and stuff? Almost caught up on comics. Ooh, what are you reading right now? Like, what particular comics are you reading at this particular time? I don't think I have a black. I think I just have this gray, which is a little boring, but that's fine. Sorry, I'm looking at what I have here that I can use. And like how some people don't like draw lines between theirs, but I kind of like the idea that I'm like, yeah, let me create separation between my books. I kind of wish I had a black in this thin washi tape, but for some reason, maybe not. Alright. My fish is in the way. Oh. There we go. First one. Done. Alright. We're not using yellow for the next. What's my next order? Okay. Reading Exceptional X-Men. Yeah, Kitty Craig. And, we just had a new #1 for JSA. Okay. Waiting for the first 2 issues of The Question all along the Watchtower to come in. Nice. I've definitely fallen off American comics, I think the only, and even like from a manga standpoint, I think the only ongoing manga that I'm reasonably up to date with currently is One Punch Man. And even then I'm a volume behind currently. So, yeah, take that as you will. I need to get back in and catch up on One Piece, but probably not going to happen either. That'll be a lot of reading. I actually have the first box set of One Piece, so I could catch up to, like, what? First, like, 10 volumes, and then I'd have to go for digital. Alright. Red for this guy was the 4th. This was a sports romance. It was also a Kindle Unlimited. I make gratuitous use of Kindle Unlimited. And I think I saw somewhere where it's like if you read, what is it, like 10 books or more a month or something, they actually lose money on you because they pay out to authors based on pages read. If I remember correctly. Alright. Hold on a second. What did I just do? What? Y'all. What did I just do with my stencil? I legitimately just had it. I'm just throwing junk on the floor. Like, I know I was complaining about this stencil, but I don't think I threw it away. And by away, I just mean away from me. Well, surprise everyone. I've misplaced. Aha! No, I put it back on top of the other stencils and lost it. Read fast, take monies from Bezos, basically. I definitely got my money's worth of Kindle Unlimited in November and December. Alright. 2, 4. 4 was correct. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look up, like, I'm sure there's somebody, if not many people, who make stamps for, like, the book stars, like 5 stars for books that are just the outline. I'll give it a second to let that dry. Alright, what did I write with this one? Meh. Doesn't say much for the book if I'm like, I finished it and parts of it were enjoyable. Oh, it adds up again? Alright, but they're properly spaced out now. At least. Alright. Look at us. Look at us actually getting stuff done. Alright, this one's only 2 stars. This was the one where I was like, meh! Would probably not read more from this author. Not badly written, just not the top type of story I wanted. Hey, Cole Drake, welcome in. Dear Diary, I made an entry in my 2025. Is it your first entry? It only took 10 days. Alright, I think the next up was this one. This is one of the, well, actually, the reread and this one are definitely, I believe, book talk books. Or, popular book talk books. I think this one. Right? I think it's also, I'm trying to get a little bit better because, I think there's 2 things, is I want to digest stuff. My entry was an entry, and it may be the only entry in 2020. Listen, sometimes it'd be like that. I realize this, I think, partially exasperated by my binge reading of Kindle Unlimited romance novels in November and December, is that I was kind of just consuming them so quickly that I didn't really... I was also reading a lot that were kind of very similar stories, or in similar, I guess, genre spaces, whatever you want to call it. And sort of as a result of that, if you use Kindle Unlimited, and you go to the page of a book you borrowed previously, it'll say oh, you borrowed this on X date. And I kept stumbling across ones where I would open up and be oh, that title or that looks intriguing. And I would open it and be you borrowed this 3 weeks ago. And I would look at it and be I don't remember borrowing this. I have no memory of this. So I think also, yeah, I consider it. So clearly I was just binge reading, but I wasn't really outside of a couple, taking a lot of time to digest them and sort of absorb. So I might still read at that pace, but I'm sort of making myself take a step back and actually write down my thoughts. Because then the flip side of it was there were a couple where I'd be oh, I remember reading X story and there's a couple plot points that stick out to me. And I actually kind of want to reread that because it stuck out enough for me to enjoy it. And now I have zero memory of what book that was, and I wasn't really tracking them in a meaningful way. So, exactly. Comfort reading, they're empty reading carbs. You enjoy it. It's kind of like watching comfort shows where you already know what's going on or something, so you just put it on and it's like comforting to watch, but you're not really paying attention to what you're watching. That's sort of what it was. So the other reason why I'm doing this is so if I do stumble across a book that it says I borrowed in 2025, at least specifically for Kindle Unlimited, I can go look in here and be like, okay, this is the date, like what, or come find it and be like, oh, I did read this. This is the date. That'll kind of send me where to go with it. And I can say, look at it and be like, what did I think of this? I think this was yesterday, yeah. What do they even have it listed as? Oh. I keep looking for my phone, but I also have, like, chat up, which I think is, So yeah, so I started doing this last year, but I didn't do a great job of keeping up with it. So I kind of wanted to simplify, maybe not simplify, but simplify it a little bit. Which is a little bit why I cheated with my little printer. Because if I don't have to write out all of the like title and the cover and the author and stuff like that, that makes it a little bit easier. Used to throw me off in my reading is I remember cover art, but when a company reissued a story but did new cover art, yeah! Well, and this is a little bit of like, that's why these are actually the book covers that I've like printed on my little new mini printer that I splurged on for myself today. In an effort to make this process feel a little bit easier. Oh, let me do my stars before I forget. Part of the issue, I think, is that this pen nib is kind of too big for this stencil. But the other ones are the other stencils are a little too large for this space. So I'm kind of stuck in a less than ideal scenario here. Alright. But for a moment, I thought the mini printer was the pendulum swing after purchasing the motorcycle last year. Big, small, yes. Buy something gigantic, then buy myself something very tiny. Feels appropriate. All right. Doo-doo. But yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm being very boring because I'm like thinking as I do all of this. I'm gonna move on. My next book entry. That's actually a lie. Maybe not my next book entry, because I'm vaguely thinking that I... binged my way through a short additional Kindle Unlimited romance today. Last year reading some series from Praxis Books Club, read 6 books. Nice! I basically regularly use Praxis Book Club to like build out my TBR. Not afraid to admit it. I've just been very bad at actually staying on top of reading the stuff that I say I'm going to read versus going and just finding random romance novels on Kindle Unlimited. Well, I also spent a pretty long window sort of in like late summer through fall not doing a lot of reading because I was riding the motorcycle. So I'm going to be chipping away at some of the stuff that we're like, oh, we need to discuss it once I finally finish the book. That was actually I have a couple of like borrowed books where I'm like, oh, I need to like finish these. So I can both return them and talk with people about them. I don't even know. Is this like just sorry. By the end of book 1, I kept yelling at the hero. They were more awkward than I was in my early days of relating to the opposite sex. The author got better as the volumes went along, which was nice to see. They were enjoyable reads when you love. It's really interesting, especially when you look at like series that have evolved over time. Because when you think about it, like you're reading a 5, 6 plus book series. Some of them are like 10, 12, 15 book series that books don't get written quickly. So these might be a series put out over the course of 10 years. And so you think about like how a writer evolves over that time. Especially if they're starting kind of really young, they're figuring out like so much of writing can come from your personal experience. My first mistake. And this was also a Kindle Unlimited. I think about it when I think about, you see this occasionally with mangas from the perspective of not just like the evolution of the author, like the person writing the story, but also the evolution of the artist that they're working with, that like their art gets refined over time from what you see in like volume 1 of the manga to like volume 20 and beyond. Because like, think about it with like One Punch Man as an example. Obviously, there were volume releases at a faster cadence pre-COVID, but now if you look at kind of the release cadence for light novels and mangas, they're typically about every 3 or so months. So, for example, One Punch Man Volume 30 will come out in March. One Punch Man Volume 31 is going to come out in July. And so if you're thinking about that, like a series that's 20, 30, 50, One Piece is probably hundreds of volumes at this point. if they're releasing 4 a year, like, think about how many, like, getting to 40 volumes is 10 years. So, like, the way that people evolve, especially when they start really young, manga are eternal. You are not wrong. Says person who owns, you know, iShield 21, which is, I believe the final count was 37 volumes, and I have all of them. Alright, so what did I think about this one? Yes, I'm giving each read a star rating. I haven't been good about this in the past. I kind of just like write down my thoughts, but since I'm not writing like a full review, I need to give it a little bit more context of like what's something I would come back to. I would say probably in most cases, I'm only going to come back to something that has at least a 4-star rating, I think, unless there's something like really unusual about the storytelling where I'd like come back to a 3-star. But like to give you an example, this one over here is a 2-star rating, and it's like I finished it, parts were enjoyable, but like I probably would not read more in this series. These are star ratings for me are really arbitrary from the perspective of it's just like how much did I enjoy this, and would I come back to it or this author or this series. But obviously, like, star ratings are arbitrary for everyone. Let me finish this one and then I'll... The other thing that I sometimes struggle with these, so like this one, for example, this is going to be 3-star, is I'm like, the actual writing, very well done. Like, just like the overall, like, there weren't a lot of, like, sentence structure was good done, pacing was well done, didn't see a lot of like grammatical or punctuation errors, things like that, but I did see like there were some plot holes that just kind of felt they were plot holes. So like in this case, I would consider reading more from this author, but it wasn't like a, yeah, I definitely would buy their next book. Read a bunch of this Brandon Sanderson books a couple years ago. Read and read being spelled the same way is challenging because you need the context to get it right. A couple years ago, and of course, instead of doing the research to see what the read order was, I just grabbed the books I read. Okay, so is the world, like, is the series order not consistent with the read order? Did they, like, write them out of order? And is it like Legend of Zelda? So, like, if you ever, look up, like, the Legend of Zelda timeline, the order the games have come out in is not actually the order of where they fit into the overarching, like, world timeline. So if you wanted to play them in like, world timeline order, that would be different than, like, year release order of the games. Because Brandon Sanderson, a couple of his series he's helped finish are definitely on my to-read list at some point. I don't think I have any of his books here, but I know he's popular. I think currently I'm more likely to... I'm going to try and get through the stuff I already have before I at least pick up any more fantasy books. Outside of One Punch Man, probably anything I try to buy at this point would be, like, nonfiction related. Oh, he has series arcs and they all intertwine to some extent. Interesting. It makes me think of when they did the very first Spider-Verse event, or like the very first Civil War event in the Marvel Comics. And it was like, read Amazing Spider-Man number 151, and then read Spider-Woman number 12, and then read this. And it was just like, because all of the storylines were running, like the comics were running simultaneously, it was like just a completely, like, somebody had to actually send me a list of, like, here's the order, like, which ones you need to read and the order you need to read them in to get the context of the Spider-Verse event as it was happening that first time in, I think, 2014. And I was like, why is this so convoluted? Why could they not have just written it separately as, like, here's a one-off run to tell this story? It's sort of a bit like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, including the TV shows, where, like, what was it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had stuff happening simultaneously to, like, the movies. And so some parts of the TV show would not make sense if you hadn't seen, like, the current Thor movie or the current, you know, the latest Captain America. Alright. We are all caught up. Ever read a book? They do a great job of being a visual artist when it comes to the background and lore, but totally feels like a huge jump on hand. Yeah, I feel like you run into a lot of ones where, I shouldn't say a lot, you run into authors who do a really good job of, to your point, like, world building, lore, background, like, getting you invested in the universe they've created. And, like, you can clearly tell that that is their bread and butter. That's what they're good at. Probably that's what they were most interested in, the world building. And then suddenly they're like, oh crap, but now I need to have characters to be able to tell the story about the world. And they kind of stumble on that. The same way that you can have really good character development with, like, just really shitty world building. And I think, like, striking a balance between those two things is what makes some authors great. Alright, so we have our 4 books done here. We did this. Let's go ahead. We're actually gonna write all of these in now. Use this pen. Most of the time I'm, like, finishing something and, like, running over here to be like, let me remember to write it down. Because the other thing, too, is, I've gotten better at this, but especially with Kindle books, you might finish the story, but if they have like a bunch of like, oh, we have like an excerpt of the next book, and here's a bunch of like other info about the author and stuff at the end, you might have finished the book from the perspective of the story, but you like exit out of it, and it's like, you've only completed 92%. And so it will not register in Kindle in terms of your completed books as a completed book. So I had a bunch of books where I was like, oh, this will be in my insights later for a completed book, and I can just go pull the info. And then it wouldn't be there because it wasn't marked red, because you hadn't made it far enough for it to register as finished, because there was a bunch of extra stuff at the end. Way more organized. I think it's because if I don't do stuff this way, I just won't get it done. Alright, we're gonna let that dry for a minute, and then we'll come back and erase the pencil. Entries, checkboxes, entries, yeah. Battled with that a couple audio. Well, yeah, with it, like, it's just. So I had to get better about finishing a book, and if there were still pages and stuff left, exiting it on my Kindle, or the Kindle app, and then checking to be like, does it say red? And if the answer is no, then I go and mark it and be like, 3 dots, mark as red, because I don't want to have this be a pain for me later. Oh, this is my books I want to. We'll come back to this later. I'm not putting library reads in until I actually finish the book, even though I've borrowed 6 books right now, so we'll come back to that. I mean, I'll probably finish the one book tonight. It's only 100 pages and it's tiny. If I stay on top of this, I'll be writing like with pen instead of pencil, but alright. But yeah, so this is kind of part of why I have a bit more things like this, or that I use kind of a physical version like this a little bit more, is also because like I've had those digital formats fail for me. There's that. We'll do the series tracker in a second, but first I want to make sure that I've added in my other pen, wherever it is. Where did I throw you, pen? You and you out. Aha, there you are. This desk is currently a mess because I put too many things on it, but it's fine. We do that sometimes. So we have 1, 1, 2, 3, and then we said 4. Look at our Susie from our little mini printer. Played Magic at my friend's last night. So that brings us to... I think I read another book. I think I was able to speed read through something else today, this afternoon. But I don't remember what it was. We'll check Kindle in just a second. You just read the ingredients in a cup of ice cream. That counts, she says to herself. Alright, let's go to Kindle. Oh yeah, actually I did. It was a novella, so that's why it was so much faster to read. Okay. Well, I just... also E110. Grabbed a bunch of free ebooks, just finished a 3-book series, started before... See, here's the thing. I don't know why. I think because it kind of also depends on the book. I don't want to say ebooks are easier to read because I don't think that's the right phrase, but for some reason, probably because the bulk of what I'm reading on there are romance novels, I just binge through them so quickly. That's not what I want. I want sword graph. I also have the unfortunate mistake of, this is 188 pages. The next, shortest I've read was 265. So that's why I was able to binge through it so quickly. This will be... We'll wait to do that until I finish one more book so I can print 2 out at a time to make the most of my little printer paper. Would have missed at the beginning. But so I bought this tiny little printer. Hold on, let me move this out of the way so you can see size-wise. It's 3 1/4 by 5.5 inches. It prints on zinc paper, so no ink or toner needed. It's just little sheets that you put in and it prints on its own. Kind of Polaroid-like, if I was going to make it comparable. And then they print out on little sheets that are 2 by 3 inches, so you can see not very well because I turned one of the lights off, but a little pictured photo of Susie that I tested it out on. And some of these are sticky back, so stickers. It's zinc photo paper. So a 2 by 3 inches. So here's it at its full size, and I used it to print on the sticker paper, the book covers, and I just It's a Canon Ivy2. And so when I go into, I can just print a singular thing. I can do a collage option, which is very hard to see. I don't know if you can see the collage options. Hard to see in the lighting, but I can do collage. That's kind of what I did. So I just put 2 book covers. I think I was looking up some reviews of it because I was trying to decide between the Canon. HP does an equivalent thing called a sprocket, or equivalent little mini printer, and the general takeaway I had from it is that usually they last pretty long. Like, people saying like 6 months, a year later seems okay. I don't know how long these have actually been in market to say if there's anybody who's doing a like 5 years later review and can say. But, yeah, kind of like that. So anyway, so I did 2 each to get like the smaller size because I didn't need like a full 2x3 inch. Like if we just do like, if we take a second to do a size comparison, I don't need this large of a cover versus these. These are good enough for how I'm using it. So that's kind of how we ended up here because I lack self-control. So Northworld Vengeance, Northworld. Not me going to look these up on Storygraph. David Drake, the Northworld Trilogy. 1 through 3. Venturous, Reflective. This is an omnibus edition. I'll put the first one on my list to look into, to read. But yeah, so you use an app, you can print it out, so I can print photos, I can print any visual that I can download, so if I want something else, that's totally doable. Let's go back to our notebook over here, because I was going, for now, gonna shift some other things out of the way, so that we can do what colors have I done here? We did green, gray, purple, kind of beige, pink. What do I want to use here? Series tracker is all I will have left to do. Did a beige already? I don't feel like I have a lot of great colors. I guess I could just do brown. Sort of disappointing, but doable. I mean, that was green. So I guess we could do... Wait, did we do a blue? I thought we did a blue. Am I just imagining? Am I imagining the green? I guess this is the blue that we did. I could do like a real blue or brown. I keep forgetting that I'm trying to use my phone to keep up with chat, so I keep closing my phone. It's like, no, I need chat back. I've been reading a bunch of older books. County Library has been clearing their shelves. That's nice. Yeah, I feel like in addition to some of like a lot of newer books which are on my to-read list, there's some I want to go back to, like Ursula Le Guin, some older books. I do have a mix of older ones kind of also on my shelves, but those are ones I've largely read before. So it would just be me rereading them. You know what, let's do blue. We did green, so let's do blue. for new authors' books, but feel like the genres. Yeah, I guess it's, everything is trying to force a Game of Thrones deal badly, or feel like every author is trying to write the same story. You're not wrong, kind of depending on where you're at. I guess I have the benefit that I have not read a lot of the current stuff, and by current I mean probably like the last 5 to 10 years, across science fiction and fantasy, outside of some very specific, I guess, categories. And so as a result, oh, this looks like the same one, but I thought this was blue. Is this not blue? Am I blind? Well, it's blue now. Blue because I say it's blue. Grew up reading Helen and Bradbury and Asimov. Sloane was new. Well, I feel like I read, the other thing too is there's a lot of things I read as a kid that I haven't gone back to. So I'd read Tolkien. I'd read, oh god, I've blanked now. I'd read Tolkien, so Hobbit and LOTR. I read so many Dragonlance books. I was a prolific Star Wars book reader. Oh god, I read so much of the Dragon Riders of Fern. I ended up donating to my local library a bunch of them, and then I kind of held on to the ones I liked the best. Who was it that I read, series like the Oversea Under Stone series, Anne McCaffrey's, so she did 3 primary series. It was like the Dragon Riders of Fern, it was the, I forget what the technical name of the series is, but it's like all of the telekinetics and stuff like that. It started with well, there were earlier ones, but kind of like the main, following a specific family, was the Rowan. I actually still own that entire series so I have that, and then it was like there was a 3rd series I don't remember. I still have some of the, I have like a couple individual books of some of my favorites still in the other room. I probably have the book. Hold on, but I need to look it up. Work with me. Robin McKinley. I read so much Robin McKinley. The Blue Sword. Kind of the Damar series. Read a bunch of that. Because it was the Blue Sword, and then The Hero and the Crown. A book I read as a kid that I would always recommend if anybody ever asked me would definitely be A String in the Harp. I don't even know what that's considered. I'm probably young adult. Nancy Bond. Yeah, young adult, fantasy fiction, kind of historical. I love that book. I still have a copy. Susan Cooper with the Darkest Rising series, so that's Oversea Under Stone. The Darkest Rising, Green Witch, The Grey King, and Silver on the Tree. I read those a long time ago. I want to revisit those. I like rereading books that I really enjoyed as a kid. Alright, let me go double check. How did I do my series tracker before? Alright. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. For my series tracker, one of these, I'm rereading just because I want to, and I want to have the fun of marking it off as a series tracker. The rest are series I've not read before. Break time. It's actually drink refill time is what it is, so we're going to do a BRB. I'm going to keep talking to you all, though, because I'm wearing my wireless mic. But I need more water. So good call, Cole. So you're just going to join me as I walk around my apartment getting water. And it's cold again, so I need to go heat water. But yeah. Oh crap, it's already almost 11. Did not realize. So we'll probably get the series tracker done. That'll kind of wrap up all of the stuff I was supposed to be doing with my reading journal. And then it'll just be filling things in as I read more books. In which case, it'll just be probably a lot that'll happen off stream then. In case I'm occasionally talking about it, or I need to fill in more book commentary. And I'm lazy and want to do it on stream. Which, like, totally fair. Might be an outcome. Me being like, oh, I'm behind on books again. I keep writing them on post-it notes. Or my reviews on post-it notes, and now I need to actually put them into my reading journal. Which is, like, fine. It's cool. Ugh, we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. Again. I don't love this for me. I didn't realize it'd been like 2 hours because I had heated water earlier. But it's gonna take a while to reheat. And by a while, I mean like a couple minutes. Susie's already abandoned me. Is sleeping in my bed, I'm sure. She just wants me for my sweet, sweet apartment and the fact that she doesn't have to pay bills. Alright, I'm not hungry, but I have the munchies. Which is almost worse than being hungry, because that's when you make bad choices. Like, do I need to open a new bag of chips? No. Am I going to? Absolutely. But yeah. I'm going to try to be better about staying on top of my reading journal this year. Easy to say 10 days into the year. And to actually chip away at my TBR, both physical and digital. Little by little. Okay, I had my 3 trips. I'm not going to bring the bag with me because A, I don't want to get like grease markings from trips all over my notebook. And because I'm a grazer. If I just sit there and the food's near me, I'm going to keep eating whether I'm hungry or not. Bum-ba-dum. be back. Got our snow Thursday, noon to noon today. Oh, almost a foot. Whew. Yeah, right? I wish to have the life of a dog. Pretty to look out, but a pain when you have to climb a ladder, brush it off the roof. That's me when I have to, like, dig my car out of the snow. They, like, plow our parking lots and stuff, but that, like, initial you need to dig it out. Hey, Hawkeye. We've so far been lucky that we've mostly just been getting, like, dustings or, like, a couple of inches, enough to be annoying, because then it all freezes over, and then it's just icy, and I hate that. But, otherwise not terrible. Carrot sticks, that's actually something I should look into more. I like, carrot sticks. The other thing that I like doing or getting is, I'll, like, buy a cucumber and chop it up into slices and then just, like, eat slices of cucumber because I'm a weirdo. Your Chancered, your 2025 paper journal to an ocean template. Nice. Still going to use both because so much washi tape. It is very dangerous, isn't it? You get, like, supplies. I mostly copy over my calendar dates to my digital stuff, but that's just because I've tried digital planners and they, outside of, like, keeping track of, like, appointments, I just like the physical process of writing. But it's bad we did not get the mega ice incrustations. Yes! Trees go down and roads are death. That's the thing, not cheesy Cheetos on the keyboard. Exactly. Sugar snap peas. Ooh. I'm gonna have to do some things. Try some additional munchies. I need to go to the grocery store to pick up some, like, fruits and veggies. I kind of worked through everything I had, and now I'm down to, like, 2 cheese sticks and nothing else, which is not a fruit or a veggie, but that's, like, the closest healthy snack food I have besides chips. Alright. Alright. So the only... As mentioned, that was not a summoning Susie. She heard the plastic of me moving the bag that I keep my little art eraser in, and she thought I had food for her. I do not have food for you, but hello, welcome. Would you like to say hello? Will you be in frame when we turn on the light so you all could actually see her if I do this? Because she typically, if I don't, spot and see. Are you in? Back up, come to me. Come to me. Be in frame. Attempt to be in frame, Susie. She's just scrounging to see if I had any food. She woke up and got out of bed. From this plastic crinkling and not from me opening the bag of chips. Your tail, dog. It's so loud and it hurts. Veggie Store sells mini cucumbers, just a little, maybe 1.5. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read from a distance. So I have to chop those up. Oh, nice! But been eating those, like, single-serve cheese sticks more than normal food. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a balance. Yeah, you all can always hear the thump-thump of her tail hitting stuff. So, go pushy. I don't have any food for you. You missed your chance. The bag of chips was when I was in the kitchen. So anyways, Susie has some more mandated time here. Despite already making her required stream commitments earlier in stream, she has returned. With the thought that she was gonna get food, which she is not. Okay, you good? No? You're gonna go back to sleep? Here, go to your bed. Go to your bed. I have no food for you. But I will send you back to your bed. Nope, she came back. Hi. Can I get to the desk around you, please? 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 It is now petting time. Not planner time. Not reading journal time. I like how she's put herself, like, in between. It's because she thinks she's gonna get something off the desk. There's no food for you there, Susie. You might be large enough. Susie time is always good time. Yes. She's like, this is just who you are now. Wow, I can't spell. I tried to write condiment and I meant to write condition. Clearly, I'm tired. I keep the series tracker pretty basic. Mostly because I'm lazy and I haven't done a good job about reading series. We're definitely going to also eyeball this one. So this is a series I'm going to reread and I want to track it because I think it'll be fun, which is the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. Makes me wonder about our forefathers and foremothers. They went to bed shortly after sunset, but then got up after 4 to 5 hours of sleep and did stuff and wrote letters and journals. Must have spent a lot of time late scraping late night sleepy spelling mistakes on their parchment. It is funny anytime I'm like watching some sort of like historical drama and they're like, yes, this person's up like with the sun, and I'm like, okay, based on the like time of year, up with the sun is like, I don't know, 5:36 in the morning. Like, how are you getting enough sleep? But then you realize like they're going to bed at sunset, which is probably like 7 or 8. So they are probably getting like potentially 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Heads up, we'll probably have another ad break in about 4-ish minutes. Alright, so we're gonna... Storm. I trimmed this down from, I had like a couple more series listed last year. I think I was a little too optimistic about what I thought I was going to get to. And then I decided to trim it down to like, okay, what are the books I actually physically have right now? Or at least like I've started, I have like the first one. And I could more easily get the next. So Murderbot Diaries I have, that's Martha Wells. The Grishaverse, Lee Bardugo, so like Shadow and Bone and stuff. I have that. I bought like a little three book box set. I have the first book of the Legacy of Orisha. I hope I said that correctly. Which is Tomi Adeyemi, The Children of Blood and Bone is the first book. Imagine doing all of this by candlelight. No thanks. Good to have a goal, even if not all are met. I have not chipped away at too many of my series, but I should. Thank you, Cypher. I spent a lot of time practicing writing as a child. And I don't even think I can really, like, objectively blame, like, school or my family for it. I think I just spent a lot of time being like, why yes, I want my handwriting to be... I also went through stages of like trying to make, or writing my D's and A's and like different S's, like different letters in different ways. Because I was a weirdo and I would see something where I'm like, oh, that person writes really cool. I want to replicate that. So I think I just naturally did a lot of practice, and eventually, like, sometimes it falls apart when I'm like not thinking too hard about it and I'm writing really quickly. It starts to kind of lose its shape, and sometimes I come back to it and go like, I have no freaking clue what I wrote. That does occasionally happen. And I still try to also practice cursive regularly. Like, occasionally my writing, I don't know if I did too much of it so far in this. We can actually, but I can look at, sorry, my 2024 planners right here. So like, yeah, open straight to like 2 days where I was primarily writing in cursive. Not cursive, not cursive. Like, I swap back and forth because I just want to have, like, I want to maintain it. I feel like writing, especially with the, you know, we're in the age of technology and everything, is a skill set I want to maintain. So, Children of Blood and Bone was a good read. Hopefully I'm going to get to it this year. I have it. Next up, so we have Murderbot Diaries, the Grishaverse, The Legacy of Orisha, and now the Nightmareverse by L.L. McKinney. That's the A Blade So Black series that starts with or a trilogy, I believe, that starts with A Blade So Black. Which I have that first one. I think I picked it because it was such a pretty cover that I was like, yep, I need to read that. It's a bit like how I pick wine. I go, that looks pretty, or that looks interesting. My cursive is as bad as a doctor's, but thanks to my engineering and drafting classes, I have passable block print. I also think it kind of depends. I was very invested in my earlier years. I shouldn't say my earlier years, but like through high school, I was much more invested in like my English and literature and history classes that tended to have a lot of essays and involved a lot of writing, more so than I was invested in like math and science. Not that I wasn't doing those, but like it was a different type of writing, like writing chemical equations in my chemistry honors class was not quite the same as having to like write, you know, a 10-page paper. So I think like that was a factor too. And like we really, there wasn't, if I think back, I didn't have to do a bunch of, or I shouldn't say a bunch, but I didn't have too many like type of paper kind of assignments, I think really until I got to college. So I had the benefit of kind of going through the bulk of my primary education. How to get to know. Her life is an open book, or at least a collage of events. Yeah, kind of something like that. Seems right. My earlier years, okay, so a little bit of context for this for y'all is that we had a college senior intern with us over the summer this past year. She graduated in December, and after her internship, like, we liked her and we knew she was graduating in December, so we made her a full-time offer after she had graduated, or contingent on her graduation, which she did graduate. She accepted the offer, so she started with us this week. She's technically on like a separate section of the team, but we'll work together. And, you know, she is a young woman. So even though we kind of work into separate disciplines, I was like, I feel like there's probably a lot that I can teach you or help you work through or mentor you on, just as it relates to kind of being a woman in our particular industry and, you know, things as you think about advancing your career and learning and growth and blah, blah, blah. She's 21. I am nearly 15 years older than her. I was called an elder. She has never watched Jurassic Park. She's never watched The Muppets. And that has now colored me. So yes, my earlier years. I'm not an ancient traveler. I'm not that old. I could be, though. How do you know? Happens a lot in chat when I mention things from my geologic epoch versus their recent history. It's so funny because as we played Magic last night, a group of us, and it was really interesting for the things that, like, she conceptually knew what they were, like the Muppets, like, Jurassic Park, but hadn't engaged with that media. But then most of her references, like, do you know what X is? And it was like, oh, this person who did this thing and posted them to, like, TikTok. And so it's just, like, such an interesting, like, difference in, I guess, generation to see sort of, like, where your kind of inspiration and things come from. And, yeah, so I do, honestly, I do a lot of co-mentoring. So people who are, like, at a comparable level, I guess, where we kind of just work as, like, boards to, like, bounce challenges, or like, hey, for example, somebody that I've been kind of co-mentoring with, I don't even know if mentoring is the right phrase, but we're, like, in totally different disciplines. We sort of just ended up meeting through, like, a peer coaching program, like, 3 or 4 years ago. So we've stayed connected over the course of a few years. And so I'll give an example. She recently put in her notice. She took a job elsewhere, but she called me. She's like, hey, can you chat? Called, and she's like, I'm accepting a role, I'm starting it like this far ahead. Do you, I'd really like your thoughts on like how I can communicate it, because like XYZ is the outcome I want when I give my notice. Like basically she didn't want to just be walked out of the building that day. She kind of wanted to like advocate for them letting her transition stuff over the course of her time left, and then kind of run out the clock so she would finish on Friday and then start the new job on the upcoming Monday, a few weeks away. And so kind of we talked, she's like, all right, how do you think I should do that? We talked a lot about resumes. We talked a lot about like cover letters, guidance for having conversations, like difficult ones with our managers, or when we wanted to like push for a promotion or where there was opportunity and stuff. So I do a lot of, like, I have some people in more senior roles than me that I meet with regularly, and we kind of bounce stuff off of each other, and I get their perspective. And then I also make sure that I meet regularly with a variety of like more junior, primarily women that I've kind of interacted with across the organization, to like hopefully give opportunities where I'm like, listen, we can just like have coffee and BS or tea, even if it's virtual. But the flip side is, if you ever want to ask questions as it relates to career advancement, having different conversations, like how do you make a case for getting a promotion, blah, 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 like I'm happy to talk through my experience with it. Because I kind of always think of it as corporate especially is challenging. And I would love for those who are younger than me, especially younger women, to kind of learn from the mistakes I made so that hopefully they can more easily overcome those and get to make and learn from their own mistakes, but hopefully not the same ones as I made. A lot of the stuff I advocate for, especially on my team and to my leadership, is with the goal that like for the person who eventually comes after me, it will be easier for them in some ways, and that they have to overcome different challenges than it was for me. I have not gained the deep lore because I studied it, because I lived through it. There's a quote. I can actually say I watched the TV coverage of the first moon landing and remember the day JFK was assassinated, lived through. Listen, I had this conversation with somebody where I was like, as frustrating as it was in the moment, I can say that I was in London the day of the Queen's funeral. Like and while I did not go all the way, like out to see the procession, I did go out and kind of like move with the crowd who were going there to see the procession for a period of time. And then I made it back to the most recent Queen. And then made it back to my hotel in time to like kind of watch everything happening on TV. And like, it was frustrating because it like threw off. It was a trip that had been planned and the meetings were originally supposed to happen that day. And then of course, like nobody could have anticipated the Queen dying. But my travel was already booked and it would have been so expensive to change it. So I just said, screw it. I'll go and be there for the funeral. Corporate culture is its own mystery sect. You're not wrong. I think mine's more about like my conversations around like playing the corporate. I think the other thing too is like for some people in I'm trying to think about it. Technically speaking, if we look kind of at the averages across my particular company, I have progressed roles reasonably quickly. I've had 2 promotions in essentially like 7-ish years, so I'm kind of like averaging 2.5 years to each level. which was considered, like, when I got the first promotion, everybody's like, this is actually really fast. Like, most people don't get promoted this quickly. And I was like, that's silly. It shouldn't be about how long you're in a role. It should be about, like, the work you're doing. Why are you crying? You're not getting me again. You did that earlier, and then you didn't actually need to go outside. No, I don't trust you. You've abused my trust, Susie. You were, born 3 years after. Like, I remember, when, like, Princess Diana died, and, like, that was a whole thing, obviously. Yeah, poor Susie. Her life is so terrible. Alright, we got you. Okay, I'm just like eyeballing all of this, like, meh, close enough. Susie's life is the worst. Oh, that's this last. I don't know if I'm going to add this one. Let me put a question mark next to it. I do have the one book, but I don't know if I really want to check off the series yet. Alright. And last is... We'll actually go through these in a second. Sometimes I can keep going, and other times I'm like, I'm focused on this, I need to do this thing, I can't multitask. Alright. Life is almost as bad as Captain's life, trying to sleep on my couch, but I keep moving around and making the cushion bounce. Listen, they chose this location. Many streamers that are 90s kids, so they reference 90s and how you get it's so wild to me sometimes when I see, like, I primarily, I would say probably reference like the 90s and 2000s, even though I am barely made it in 80s, baby. And had, like, followed a lot of 80s stuff. Like, had the benefit, I guess I should say had the benefit of getting to, green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. That's 5. Let's do that in here. What is? What other colors are hidden from me? Oh, is this an even paler yellow? Technically. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. There we go. We'll do these. But yeah, it's wild to me where I'm just like, I feel out of touch. And what is it? Emotional damage. Alright, so we have the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. I hope at some point to read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I've read the Gunslinger, but I do kind of want to actually attempt to knock out the entire series. We have the Grishaverse, that's Lee Bardugo, so Shadow and Bone, what have you. Then the Inkworld series, so Inkheart, Inkworld, and Ink Death. We already talked about it, but the Legacy of Orisha, so Tommy Adeyemi, I might be saying that wrong. So Children, Blood, and Bone. Obviously, we've talked about it earlier. The Broken Earth. So N.K. Jemisin. The Nightmare Verse by L.L. McKinney. So this was The Blade So Black. And then finally, because I have the first of the books, the Centennial Cycle by Malka Ann Older. This is Infomacracy. Infomacracy. I don't know how to properly say this word. I know. I have so many colors. These are just like the more pale pastel colors. This is one all generations can relate to. Remember when MTV used to play music? You're not wrong. Alright, so we'll do a quick little run through reading journal now that it is complete. All of the prep stuff is complete, at least. So I still have a little bit of work to do on this, but we have our cover page. We have our goals for the year. Obviously, we have our boxes to check off as we read books. We're technically 5 down. We can color another one in. Because I forgot about the other book I read today. This will be all of my new and rereads. And I'm not going to be, there's no color coding. I'm not going to distinguish between, whether it was physical, ebook, Kindle, versus, owned versus library or borrowed, what have you. That'll just be everything. I'll distinguish those elsewhere. This will be our pages for listing. I have 3 for books read and then 1 for rereads. Because I know I will probably revisit books. And this is where I'm kind of keeping track of like what number it is, title, author, the date that I completed it, the format it is. This will be, physical ebook or audiobook, how many stars I'm giving it, and the number of pages. Here's our series tracker. We have 1 page put in. I have enough space if I pick up any additional books or want to add some more series to start tracking against. Hopefully, if I knock out a few of these, I can add some more. As mentioned, we have our physical TBR, so these are the books I currently own. Primarily the books I currently own. There are 5 or 6 books on this list that I have borrowed from somebody, but the other 100 are books that I own and have in my apartment right now that are physical, paper books. So I'm gonna, as I start reading them, I will highlight and mark them off. And one of my goals is to have a smaller physical TBR at the end of the year than I started with, which means not only do I need to read books, but I need to hopefully not buy too many new books. I'll track the books that I read from the library. And this is just month, title, author, and then savings. So how much of it would it have cost me if I'd gone out and bought that book? I do have a DNF graveyard. We'll see. No DNF so far. I'm going to, the same way that I'm tracking what I save from reading from the library, I'm going to track what I buy and what the total cost of that is. So I'm at about $20 already for the 2 that I bought. One was an ebook and one was our lovely Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy 2024, which has a book written by story written by Space Valkyries in it. And then I originally did sort of like monthly roundups, but I think I'm just going to have a monthly stat. So for each month, when a month is done, I'm going to total everything up. How many books did I read? How many pages of those books? What was a physical ebook or audiobook? What did I get from the library? How many were library books? How many were from my TBR? Did I DNF any books? And how many did I buy? With the goal that at the end of the year I can total this up and have fun. And then that takes us into actually our little mini reviews. My last year, I'm trying to find an example of it. Last year I tried to do little recaps, and I just found this like not effective for the way that I was reading. I kind of rather just wanted to fill in the totals that I had, what have you. So I think we're going to get rid of the monthly individual recaps and just keep it to filling in this kind of stat chart instead. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Obviously, like I picked this one up because Space Val has a story in it, or Val has a story in it, but I'm super interested, if any of these really stick out to me so much that I, that I search for more from that author. Point made. So yeah. And then my goal is that I'm keeping my kind of like thoughts around books or reviews or whatever a little bit shorter. Putting in the cover image, the date I completed it, general. Like I'm not going to do, I've seen people do like genre trackers and stuff, and I'm not sure I want to do that, but I at least want to be able to come back and be like, if I look at a cover and go, like most of these I know, these three are pretty straightforward. I see them and go, those are romance. If I saw this one, I probably wouldn't immediately think it was romance, like the skull on it, not so much. So when I like have an idea of genre, especially as I get into more like nonfiction or other categories like science fiction and fantasy and what have you, and then like star ratings and sort of where I read it, just so that I can hopefully find it again in the future. So yeah. So that's our now fully set up reading journal for the year. For 2025. And now I'm just going to keep chipping away at it. So I think we're going to end here because it is late. Me, 40 minutes ago, going, I'm going to finish soon. Me, 40 minutes later. Guess who did not finish soon? It's fine. This is just who I am as a person. I've accepted it now. It's kind of late on an atypical day, so I don't know if anybody that I follow will be live. When I was a kid teen, I remember reading Analog and a couple other monthly. Yeah! That's like, Uncanny now. Is it Uncanny? Uncanny Magazine, I think is the one. Yeah. I was like, what's the one that I follow and I keep up with? It's this one. Possible that there's a random weekend stream since I don't really have any plans, but more likely not, and I'll be back here as usual on Monday. The next 2 weeks, I should have a regular schedule, theoretically, and then I'm traveling the last week of the month. So, we'll see how things go. Let's take a quick look to see if anybody we know is currently online. Oh, Selena's live! Let's go bother Selena! Playing Cult of the Lamb. Alright, real quick. As always, everyone, I appreciate y'all, that's not the button I wanted, hanging out and keeping me company while I was doing more plannery stuff and showing off my Minty mini printer. As always, everybody, please be safe, be healthy, happy crafting, happy gaming. If you're going to join me over on the raid to Selena playing Cult of the Lamb, please use hashtag LuckyRaid with any hello or hi emote, or if you're a subscriber, a Susie emote. And we will otherwise be back here as usual on Monday, most likely. So y'all have... Oh, I forgot to hit start raid. So we gotta wait a couple seconds for that to get going. Yeah, happy belated New Year. Also, all of you stay warm. For those of you that are getting snow, please be careful. For anybody who's on the West Coast and near the fires in LA, please be safe, be careful. We're all just, climate change. Totally fine. No reason to be concerned. But have a fantastic one, and I will see all of you around in the future.
On, Crusade. I'm like ready. Look at all this health. Hey! Hi! Welcome in! Hi, Raiders! Welcome! How are you? A lucky raid! Hello! Hi, Cole Drake! How's it going? Oh, it's going great. Just, Cult Fridays. Culting it up.